Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm Gio and I'm here for a special video. It's an AC Milan news video, and I want to speak about Berlusconi's latest declarations as he came out in public today to give some more information regarding the closing date of the sale, the possible scenarios, and what is currently going on in regards. Because technically, the closing date is set for December 13th. However, there are some complications, it seems to be, as usual. You know, we've been going on over and over for many, many months with always complications, dates always postponed. And it seems like we might be witnesses of yet another similar scenario to what we witnessed in these previous months. So this is the latest scoop regarding Berlusconi and the possible sale. He says that, first of all, of course, he mentioned this several times regarding the pain that he kind of proves for selling Milan. Obviously, it's one of his jewels, one of his things that brought him up in fame, besides his political career. But once again, he says that it is painful to leave this team, but it's necessary. But then he goes on to say that the Chinese need to obtain authorizations in order to actually finish off this deal and sign the closing. Now, apparently, it seems that the Chinese don't necessarily have all of these cards in their possession, and it could be that the closing could be postponed for another month to a month and a half, bringing this into January. Now, obviously, this is really bad news if it actually occurs, because once again, we will witness another similar transfer window like the one we did in summer. The appropriate funds won't arrive yet again. So until we see that final closing being signed and everything, we won't be witnesses of the sums that Milan is supposed to be getting. So this is really, really important to understand. If the closing doesn't arrive in December and it arrives in January, the proper transfers, the transfer funds, and all the payments and money that is supposed to be implemented in this team most likely won't occur. So once again, to me, it seems like this is once again one of his main topics of discussion for Berlusconi, always giving little hints that he doesn't want to completely give away the club. Like the other day, he mentioned that he is yet to remain honorary president. That is what the Chinese want him to be, at least. So he always gives these little details regarding his position, and he always wants some control over the club. Another proof that what I'm saying is actually true is that he mentioned that he wants to build an all-Italian team. Now, we've heard about this so many times with Berlusconi saying that he only wants Italian players and so forth. But once again, he came out and mentioned he wants to build an AC Milan with an all-Italian team with very young players. Now, to me, you know, this is not definitely something that I'm happy to hear. I mean, yes, the more Italians, the better. This is definitely something that goes with tradition, the culture of the club, and so forth. But just because Berlusconi said that he wants an all-Italian team, it shouldn't be that way. If the Chinese have the authority to make their own decisions, why not give them some say as well? Just because he's the honorary president doesn't necessarily mean that he needs to make all the decisions in the world for the Chinese. But, you know, this is, once again, Berlusconi trying to put a stamp on the paper, trying to be determined, trying to give in some authority to himself. And that is why he still wants to be honorary president. Now, I actually found a very good article on milannews.it regarding, this is from a journalist, I believe. It's Pasquale Campopiano. He mentions about 4 possible hypotheses regarding Milan's closing and the sale. So I'm kind of going to give you a brief background of what he's mentioning. And you guys could let me know in the comment section Which one of these do you think is more likely to happen, and which one are you guys hoping for that it happens? Now, the first hypothesis is, of course, the main one, the one that we all know, and that is the closing date, December 13. This is the one that all the Milan fans are hoping for, and for various reasons, like I mentioned before, if it does arrive in December, that means that we will have the appropriate transfer funds for the winter mercato. If not, we simply won't have all of those funds. Now, so once again, the first hypothesis is this one, that the closing will arrive on December 13. The authorizations will arrive for the Chinese. The money will arrive for the transfer funds. So that is the first hypothesis. Now, the second one, apparently there's this type of loan coming in from an European Union, which is about 600 million. Now, what this will do is that it will pretty much give an advance to Milan, and it will give the appropriate time for the Chinese to get their authorizations from China. And at the same time, since this loan from these European unions will arrive, it will pretty much be safe to say that the closing could be sealed for December 13. The third hypothesis is, of course, what I mentioned before with Berlusconi saying that there could be a delay, another postponement of about a month to a month and a half. Now, this is obviously going to infuriate, I think, a lot of Milan fans if it actually happens. But once again, Silvio made his words clear. The Chinese need to have their authorizations if they want the sale to go through. If not, he said it. If it doesn't happen in a month or a month and a half, they could potentially get rid of this possible agreement and continue with their proper strategy. And this is a strategy that could very well be the building of an all-Italian teams with young players, like I mentioned before. Now, the fourth strategy is, of course, the one, like I just said, that Berlusconi could keep Milan, and this would be probably the worst of the four options, because we all know that the money won't arrive, and he's going to basically rely on free transfers or free youth players. And personally, I don't think this option will arrive, but it's still one of the four hypotheses. So hopefully for me, I think that the closing will arrive, I think. Maybe not December 13th, but it could arrive maybe early January. There is some optimism, however. Sino-Europe, that is the group that is purchasing Milan. They mentioned on Twitter that they thank Berlusconi for his kind words, and there will be trying to do this closing in the least time as possible. They want to get this done as soon as possible. So that is definitely very, very encouraging to see from them. And hopefully, if it doesn't arrive on December 13, like I mentioned, it could arrive in the later weeks of December or early January, which still gives us enough time to make appropriate signings, and the appropriate funds will arrive. Now, guys, let me know what you guys think about all these declarations coming in from Berlusconi, sino-Europe. What do you think about the closing date? Will it come or not? Will Milan have to wait until January? So let me know all of that. So there is some comments from you guys already. I am sick of this. I just get it done already. Where is the old Milan? Well, this is definitely something that I mentioned a lot of Milanisti are still very infuriated with. Hopefully the closing will arrive, because like you, I personally can't stand this anymore. But I definitely hope that it comes sooner rather than later. We need those transfer funds, guys, at all costs to make some appropriate signings. A lot of you guys are talking about potential targets. Some people are mentioning about Belotti. Obviously, yes, Belotti, but guys, you have to understand that Torino is currently not willing to sell him. I think Napoli also made a bid for him, but Torino is not willing to sell. So I'm not quite sure that Belotti will be a possibility, even though we get the right transfer funds. And also, he's about to renew his contract with Torino, so that option is pretty much going out the window very soon. Aniket says, if there is a delay, I read Berlusconi will take 100 million fee for the delay. Yes, there will be a fee. This has already been prescribed in the pre-agreement and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, there will definitely be a delay. So in my opinion, this sale will definitely go through, just because he's been saying it over and over again, that he's happy. I mean, not that he's happy, but that he had to make this sale possible for Milan to return great again. So for me, if it doesn't happen in soon, it will just mean that all his words were pretty much gone out of the window. So in my opinion, I think it will happen. Maybe not December 13th, but definitely near the end of the month. Alvin says, one of the great things about Milan is that they have always had incredible players from all over the world. I'm all for an Italian core, but an all-Italian team. And that is definitely a good point you made there, Alvin. Like I said, I don't have a problem with the majority of players being Italian in the team, building a good Italian core like we already see nowadays in Milan, with 7-8 Italians already starting in Milan's teams usually. And that is definitely something that I like, because we're bringing up youth players, we're working with them, we're making them superstars. So that is definitely something that I like. But to say that the team has to be all Italian, I mean, there's definitely great talents from other countries. Does not have to be one of the criterias of Milan. Just because we're an Italian team doesn't mean that all the players need to be Italian. I don't think that will happen personally, but this is once again Berlusconi trying to put a stamp on Milan, trying to say that he's the one that wants to have the ultimate say, and why he wants to still be the honorary president if the sale goes through. Aniket says, regardless of club sale, we need to buy Rudy. Is in form and peak of career. Should be around 5 million now. That contract is coming to an end in 2017. Rudy is a definitely promising youngster. I think that Milan could do very well if they sign him. But I think that a lot of names have been put into this transfer window. I mean, what's coming up? Rudy is not the youngest of players, and there are younger players that have been mentioned from Milan. So yeah, I think it's still very early to speak about transfer. This is a time of year, November, December, where a lot of names get just put out there. And this is definitely not the right time that I like talking about transfers. So maybe around the 3rd or 4th week of December, this is where things start to get a little more interesting. And I think that is around the time that we'll start making my transfer dailies again to keep you guys updated with the latest transfers and news. Berlusconi says he wants to build an all-Italian team, then he doesn't invest. We will end up selling everyone from Romagnoli to Suso. Does Berlusconi want to cash in or improve price tags of players? Clayton says, Gio, do you think the best thing to do right now is to build a young team and get their potential? I think we have a pretty young team. If I don't remember exactly what position we are in the world, but we have one of the youngest teams. I think we have the 12th youngest team from a statistic that I posted last week or something on Twitter in Europe. So that is already pretty young, if you ask me. We definitely need some experience at the same time. So if I was Milan in the winter transfer window, I would try to split my signings based on experience and youth. But once again, we already have a pretty youth core. So it's not that we need to make this team any younger. I think that we need players that have experience, skill, and potential at the same time. One last question, or one or two last questions. Alvin says, what happened about the plans for a new stadium? Trying to fill San Siro, especially today, is quite difficult. Do you think a new stadium should be a necessity? The stadium question is definitely one of those questions that is up there for Milan. And what I mean by that is that the Chinese and Berlusconi simply still didn't come to an agreement regarding whether they will be staying at the San Siro, renovating it, or move out to a new stadium. I think we are far away from speaking about a new stadium. I think the main point and main discussion now has to remain with whether these Chinese people will buy Milan or not. Will the closing arrive or not? Once it is done, we could definitely focus on getting a new stadium or stay at the San Siro and all those other problems. I think the main problem right now is to get the closing done, get the transfer funds, and work on signing players. Later on, we could think about side issues such as a new stadium or other things. I think that will wrap it up, guys. Let me know your thoughts if you still have other thoughts regarding this potential postponement regarding the sale. Don't forget to subscribe to Rossoneri TV. Of course, more videos will be out later today. We are only about an hour 15 away from Empoli Milan. So we got the match review following that match on Rossoneri TV. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, to stay updated with everything going on at AC Milan. I will once again want to thank all of you for joining me in this special live stream to speak about this possible delay. So I'll catch you guys later. This has been Gio signing off, and as always, Forza Milan.